Yo, come on, come all, nothing but love, nothing but respect. You know what we do, what we don't, what we is, what we isn't, and what we is here today. I got Eggs for Brekkie with me, aka Daniel. Say hello, my guy.
Hello.
Hello. I might even turn my volume up a little bit here. I've normally got it pretty muted because I've got the air conditioning running, but we'll be right. I don't have it on today. It's nice and cold. Um,
Mhm.
So we haven't done a discussion in a minute. Our schedules haven't quite synced up the last couple of weeks, and there's also been a lot of interesting stuff happening, but we haven't really had a chance to talk about any of the chats.
Mhm.
Ooh, Sage wants to hop in the chat. Do you know what? Yeah, my guy. Why not? Why not? Are you here? Are you in the Discord, Sage? If you message me in the Discord, I'll send you an invite to the chat. How about that? Keep it nice. Um, but yeah, so this was a fucking wild chapter, was it not?
Yeah. I mean, we finally got it, right? Was this the Gumu Gumu chapter?
No. Two after actually, but
Oh, jeez. Okay.
this was a sick chapter.
Mm.
Sage, I know you don't use Discord, but if you get Discord, that's just what we do the discussions off because it's just easier for us for convenience for streaming at the moment. If you ever want to hop in the chat, whether it's today or any other stream, right? Download the Discord. Go. It's in the link down below, and that. Feel free to pop in and chat. You're always here anyway, so it never hurts to have someone else talking about it. All right, my guy. So check that out. It's just what we use. I know some other people use like Google Hangouts and stuff like that for the discussions and stuff. It's just Discord's easier for us, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Discord. I think Discord is like so underrated because obviously it's marketed as like a gamer thing, but it would work for so many. It would work so well for like a workplace. Just the ability to have multiple channels and
I know.
different. Yeah, it's so good.
I know a lot of
Really well put together.
people in America have issues with Discord for streaming because it tends to cause latency issues, but that just doesn't seem to be a thing that happens for us here.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
So who knows? Um, I don't know. Like, I don't know where to start on this because there's a fair bit of stuff to talk about this stream. Um, from the cover page, which Gangster Gastino has returned and saved the Vince Smokes. Although I don't see Yonji there, so I mean he might be down in the dumps already, Mister
I
One
think.
Tap.
I think we just don't care about him.
Yeah, he's the one Vince Smoke that if he died, I'd kind of be like, give Caesar the suit.
It's the one that like people aren't going to be like, oh, but why didn't you draw him in?
Mm.
It's like, nah, we don't care.
Ooh,
We want him to
actually,
be in.
think about that. Caesar with a raid suit.
Mm.
Because that would give him the durability. Because he's a Logia, that's like his big weakness. But because he's a
So the
Logia,
question is, can they create a suit that follows him when he Logia's out?
they wouldn't need to because his clothes follow him. It's part of the Devil Fruit ability.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Yo,
Wow.
give this man a raid suit. What?
Yeah, for sure.
Yo, I hope this cover
But
series
now that I think about it, the little dudes, what are they again? The
Tontatus.
Hotland people, Tontatas, yeah, Tontatas. If they had a Logia, that would just be busted because they could just walk around in like normal human size,
Mm,
and then go back to Tontata size, and then explode up to like giant size. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That'd be yeah,
dude.
that'd be cracked because they would just sneak into places like Ant Man.
I hope this is a like I hope this cover series divulges into a reuniting of Mads. So like maybe the Vinsmokes get out of here, they're all right. They link back up with everyone else, only to run in with to like Queen.
Yep.
Even though we saw Queen get like life deleted, but it'd be really interesting to um, see him link back with them. Even if he doesn't, like I could see like this linking back into Mads, maybe even to Vegapunk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
maybe this cover series ends with it being up to date and like how we had that one chapter when Blackbeard's bounty was revealed back in Act One's break, where like the cover page was Perona like cooking at MIHAWKS Place, and then the next page it opens up at MIHAWKS Place. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and she runs and is like, you didn't tell me Moria was fine. You know what I mean? So they may do something like that. That'd actually be kind of cool. And maybe like it links back up to Vegapunk in that way. But yo, dude, give this man Caesar a raid suit because he's pretty deadly already. You give this man a raid suit, he could be a heavy hitter for the Vinsmokes.
I mean, that is definitely true because like the raid suit gives you at least like you're a strong fighter level of durability. That would be Caesar's biggest problem is like if he takes a hit, he's kind of gone. It's like Cracker, right?
Outside of his face, he would be like 4th commander level-ish in durability. Right? And he can take your oxygen out like that. We've seen him just literally open his mouth and shoot laser beams. He can do huge explosions. They could bring Caesar back and make him like less of a Suki. Like all he needs is like a little bit of padding. You know what I mean? He needs his footy jersey and his pads.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, go through enough fights with a raid suit taking all your pain away. Eventually, you're gonna get a bit of confidence about you, and then he's gonna start fighting better.
And I mean, like Judge could always do it as a double-edged sword, where it's like, I've laced the the raid suit because it's memory metal, right? I've laced it with like 2 chemicals that when they combine, they make sea stone. So if you ever try to betray us, I can just end you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it could literally just be like, if you try to take it off, you die.
Yeah.
So you are just my servant now. Yeah.
Yeah. So it could work in their advantage in a lot of ways. And I mean, Reiju's whole thing is she loves poison. This man's all about making poisonous gas. He could be making her some poison soups and that. He could be the butler for the. He could be the butler for the Vinsmokes.
Just Reiju's gimp. He's just giving the gimp He's just like poison.
Dude, he's got the goat horns hanging out the top. It looks like a demonic party. Oh god, no. Oh god. Of course, leave it to the German, the people that look like the bloody Fourth Reich, with the eagle symbology and the 666, right? To have a goddamn gas man on their squad.
Yeah, okay.
Oda, that is way too red hot. I've never thought of that before, but now I'm just like, oh god, no.
Just the idea that they're like scientists and they're doing like heaps of evil experiments on people is like very fitting as well.
Sage said this before, which I'll say it now, because turning actually into the chapter, we officially start the first chapter of the last saga of One Piece. And I mean, shit, we start this with a 10 out of 10, don't we?
Yeah, for sure.
So the Straw Hats survived, and the only thing that got damaged is a little bit of one of the masks when they come flying down from Wano, which is impressive because despite how tall it looks, it can be argued to be anything from like general height of how it looks to up to 25 kilometers tall because of how tall Zunisha is. So like, Sunny essentially just could have potentially have just fallen like 100 meters. Or all the way up to 25,000 meters.
Yeah.
Which
and the idea is that like
durable as hell.
I saw someone by the way the other day with the bounty posters saying it was like foreshadowing that Frankie's bounty poster is the head of the
Sunny. Yeah.
He's gonna like merge himself with the Sunny and just be like a giant Adam Wood mech.
I mean, the Sunny's got the Gao cannon, and we have not seen that be used post time skip. I don't think.
And we haven't seen it be used as a weapon either.
Yeah.
That would be a gnarly weapon.
Like, please get the Gao cannon out and start shooting it. I'm going to say something, and once you hear this, you're never going to...
shot at? Because it got shot at something else again, right? Like before?
It got
ever been shot at something?
It blew up like to Val's base, I think, at one point, or... I think it blew up to Val's base, and it was used in movies, like Film Z.
Okay, right.
But, right, I forgot what I was going to say then.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. No, I had something here. Keep going. We'll keep going. It'll come back to me. It'll come back to me.
Yeah, we were talking about basically the atom wood fell from an insane height,
And the ship's pretty much fine.
landed in the water, which the water would just be concrete at that point.
And honestly, dude, I love this Luffy introduction as Emperor of the Sea in a cage, like a caged monkey.
Yeah.
Like Oda's comedy's on point this chapter, which leads to the next big thing. Nami with Conquerors.
I'm calling it right now. It's straight up confirmed.
Yeah,
If people can say that it's just a meme.
I
It's straight up confirmed.
like, dude. Jinbei should know.
Think about it, man. She's been hitting Luffy on the head and
Yeah?
causing those little swat. She
Dude,
has straight up been using Conquerors this.
We've gotten to the point where gags are coming full circle.
And the problem is that no one takes it seriously. So she's never actually thought to herself, "Hey, actually, maybe I do have this strength." Because every time that she's used it, she's been so angry at Luffy that she's probably not even thinking straight, and she just smacks him on the head and goes, "Yeah, that's right," and doesn't realize, "Oh, hang on, I just hurt him." One day she's gonna realize.
Dude, imagine this like for the 20 years in the future, where these guys are sitting at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I love how the crew's already starting to move on, and although this may have upset some people, it kind of. I kind of see the point of the crew being full. You know what I mean? Like, there's already enough people to focus on.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like there's a lot of. I mean, they even said it here. Like what was it? 9 commanders.
Yeah.
9's a lot.
So 9 and Luffy, which is the if you include Luffy, Luffy said at the beginning, oh, about 10 men should do, right? But
Yeah,
is that
exactly.
including himself or?
Yeah. I think like a group of 10 is a nice round number, and that's like I'm fully happy with that.
Now, this is really important to note here because we only see 3 people's bounties. Right? We get everyone's bounty, but we only see. Okay, we see more than that, but okay. So sorry, we see Luffy, Robin, Sanji, Nami, and Frankie's bounties. Right? The funniest thing is Sanji's bounty. If you have a look in the first page where the bounties are and Sanji's falling over with the love heart eyes.
Okay, yeah.
His bounties reverted back to the drawing.
Oh yeah.
So it's back to his OG bounty look.
Oh yeah, that's what you mean by it doesn't show. You mean like it didn't show us all their pictures?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So it's back to Sanji being the drawing, and Frankie's now a boat as well. Which, dude, I understand why they all just got a 300 mil increase, and it's good, but at the same time, it's like, dude, you did Frankie so dirty. You did Frankie so dirty with this bounty, in my opinion. Same with Chopper. They specifically go Straw Hat Luffy and his 9 commanders, but they still give Chopper 1,000.
Yeah.
What the shit?
Upper is 1,000, and he's still pet.
But he's still regarded as one of the commanders.
Yeah, which is so funny.
Absolutely ridiculous. I don't think it includes Luffy's. Now we've seen all the bounties. Yeah, well, it did include Luffy's, actually. You see Luffy's Joy Boy one at the end there, with his face covered. But, everyone gets a flat 300 mil increase. I've got to ask, because I was really, really careful when reading this. It says, Emperor of the Sea, Straw Hat Luffy, leader of the 5,600-man Straw Hat fleet, and his 9 senior officers are wanted for the following bounties, right?
Yeah.
Is this a different newspaper to the one that they got that included a Law and Kids bounty?
Well, hang on. I've got a different translation than you.
I'm on the Viz.
Okay.
I'm on the
I
Viz.
get the...
Right? But, right? It's really important here because even across it, right? It's specifically talking about the Straw Hats bounties here. So I think this is a separate newspaper to the one that had Kid and Law's bounty. So I think Luffy, Kid and Law got their bounties released first. This is a follow-up. And there may be another newspaper that comes out for updates potentially for Kid and Law's crews. Right? The Straw Hats will go to 300 mil increase. I don't think the other crews will get those increases. Right? They don't get a stock standard. So, what do you think we're going to get for people like Killer? Do you think we're actually going to get an increase for him? Or do you think, no, their captains got increases in the Straw Hats and that was it?
Oh, I think we'll get increases for sure. I don't know if they're going to be the same as Luffy's. Because, like, the whole point is that, like, Luffy's crew is supposed to be... Like, so the thing is that Luffy... They have to give Luffy the 3 billion just because they don't want him to, like, too scary. Right? Whereas, really, they know that he's worth more than that because of him being Joey Boy and all that stuff. But they gave him the 3 billion, and all three of them 3 billion to be like, they all helped evenly, even though they know it's Luffy. So I think like that difference will represent itself more in the crew members. They really want Luffy to get taken down. You know, Luffy is an emperor kind of deal. Maybe Killer will be around the billion range, but I don't think anyone else will be anywhere close.
See, the thing is, I can completely see and understand that. But if Killer got the 300 mil increase as well, that still puts him at 500 mil, which isn't bad, because he was already 200. It's just... He got... Say he gets that, though. He's at 500 for beat... Like, realistically, all they know he did was beat Hawkins. You know what I mean? And typically, even this, throughout the entire story, when you beat someone, you don't get a higher bounty than them, you get slightly lower. Like, it's been very consistent the whole time that you've always, like, they're like, is it a fluke? Is it not a fluke? Are they as dangerous? You know, we'll give them close, but, like, we always get, like, every bounty increase has always been underplayed a little bit in a sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, it's crazy that outside of Chopper, all the Straw Hats are in the 300 mil range at least. That means all these Straw Hats, so Nami, Brook, and Frankie. By the way, this means Brook, excluding Chopper, who's a gag, Brook has officially the second lowest bounty.
Yep.
That hurts. That hurts to hear. Right?
It's sad, man. I know. It's because the thing is, like, I don't know. What does he do?
That's a problem.
I love Brook. I loved Brook a lot. Now, I'm just kind of like, what's the point? What is his even purpose?
Mate.
I get that, like, Usopp, like, what's the point? But I mean, that's the point of Usopp, is that he's useless.
Dude, Usopp's just buggy.
Like, Brook's meant to be useful, but he's not.
See, this is the thing, right? Where it's like, all these people, think about it, they're officially more wanted than Luffy was after Enies Lobby, and Kid was pre-time skip. That's wild. Although I will say the only one that probably deserves their current bounty as is Nami, because now she's got Zeus permanently in her climate baton, which we haven't seen since the war. Right? Like, I'm surprised we didn't get a scene of Zeus, because Zeus may be like the 10th person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
But yeah, like she like her bounty, I'm like, dude, I can give a clean 300 mil increase for just having Zeus. That's like as having a low gear on Cuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Frankie beat someone with a 470 mil bounty, one shot a number, and was talking mad shit to Queen in front of every single person. Mad shit to Big Mum in front of every single person there.
I think Frankie deserves it.
I think Frankie deserves slightly higher. Like, I was expecting Frankie to have Usopp's bounty, not Frankie's. So Frankie being there kind of hurts a bit, but at least he's finally over 100 mil. The poor bastard. Also, though, Usopp having Luffy's Dressrosa bounty, so Usopp following the trend of having Luffy bounties, love it. Perfect gag. As for Zoro, Sanji, and Jinbei, the Viz has a slightly different bounty number because they actually corrected Zoro's bounty that came out in the scans was wrong. So Zoro is 1 bill, 111 mil, so 1111. Right? The ironic thing here is all their bounties are actually their birthday.
Yeah, right.
So that's what the number gag is after the 1 bill mark. Their birthdays.
Right, okay.
Finally, Robin gets recognized with a 930 mil bounty. Love to see her recognition.
Yeah.
Both a little low and a little high to me. Like, I was hoping it would be like a bill for her, or 666 mil sort of thing. But 930, I'm like, it's respectable. You know what I mean? It's definitely respectable. She got a 10 times? No, she didn't, because she was a little over 100 last time. She got a big increase, but she's 2 mil under Smoothie at the moment, which is kind of like, but fuck me dead. We got 4 people on the crew over a bill.
Yeah, that's cracked.
Dude, that is that is juicy. That is juicy. And the fact that Robin is just under that as well. You know what I mean? The Straw Hats are getting mad, ridiculous props. And the worst part is, this isn't even the highlight of the chapter. You know what I mean? Because then we turn the page, and we finally get to see the Cross Guild, and Croc and Mihawk holding Buggy by the hair. There is so much shit going on in this last section. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was like doing double takes left and right. I was like, what is going on?
So, first things
Half a
first.
second I thought Buggy was just dead because of all the blood that's coming out of his face. They actually they belted him.
Yeah, dude. They can't cut him, so Mihawk was just like, put the sword back.
Yeah.
Crack these knuckles, throwing hands.
Brutal. It's like torture. He's been brutalized, that dude.
Which, okay. Moving it on, right? Galdino, this little slimy bitch, immediately like, I never officially signed up for you guys. Croc, it's good to be back in your service. Galdino, you should know better. Croc literally killed you twice already.
Yeah.
You know sucking up to him doesn't work. Why are you... Like, dude, if I was him, I'd be hiding in the closet. I'd just be like, I'm waiting for this to blow over. I'll go be friends with Mihawk. Fuck talking to Crocodile right now. He already tried to kill me, man. What the hell? He sent the Unluckies to kill him, and then he drained him of all the moisture and left him for dead. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely wild. But we don't... We get a lot of bounties this chapter, but we don't get a Daz Bones increase. I am really interested to see what Daz Bones' bounty would be. And I'm also very interested to see whether or not Croc and Daz have Haki. Because...
Yeah, I would love to see Daz Bones. Like, basically, he's, what was his name? The Vice Admiral that was on Dofi's crew? Virgo.
Yeah.
Basically just like Virgo, where he goes full body black Haki,
but then cuts.
Blades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would actually be so terrifying. Like, to me, that would easily put him at, like, the 700 mil mark. Around that area. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'd be like, whew. And you got to think about this. This, like, you got to run it through. These are like their commanders. You know what I mean? So it's like, from the perspective, it's like Buggy is number 1, then Mihawk, then Croc, then Daz Bones, and then whoever they, split it between out of the rest of the, Buggy pirates. I'd probably say Galdino and Alvida would be next up. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But, dude, we're pretty much getting... And it's hard here because it's like 25 years into the story. But remember in East Blue, Buggy teamed up with Alvida, recruited Alvida, right? And then as soon as we get into the Grand Line, we meet Galdino. This really feels like the, resurgence of Baroque works, but it also feels really interesting that what Buggy, even unintentionally, has done is, and this feels like it's been set up for ages, right? Because these are all the villains from the beginning of the story, all in one group. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you have Alvida and Buggy, the first 2 villains of the story, right? Then you have Mihawk, who's introduced in like that next off arc. The only people we don't have here is like an Arlong representative and a Logtown representative.
Yeah.
Other than that,
Which, who knows? Like, next time we see them, Hachi could have joined them.
oh,
He just keeps coming back into the story.
fair point. But I mean, shit. Even Arlong coming back wouldn't be that crazy at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, he wouldn't be a god tier, but like, yeesh. What's chat saying? Usopp's bound is 500 mil. Nami, Brook, and Frankie increased by 300 mil. Robin, Sanji, Jinbei, Zoro, Frankie, Brook deserve what they have. The rest don't know. Crocodile said himself, "You and I don't trust each other, Mihawk." But Mr. 3 is also a clown. He don't understand. Yo, this is actually really interesting because I feel like there's a lot to infer from this. So you have the thing where it's like Mihawk's thinking to himself, having the flashback, right? Kuhaha. Mm-hmm. There goes the privileges of being a warlord, Hawkeyes. What do you want, Crocodile? The Navy has this island surrounded at the moment. I need to pick up and move base, as bothersome as it may be. Then come over to my side. It's not a bad deal. With our name value combined, the Navy will have to sit up and take notice. You were known as the naval hunter once upon a time, marine hunter or navy hunter, depending on what you want to call it. Love that parallel with Zoro being the pirate hunter, by the way. Right? Yeah. Terrific. But in terms of distrust for others, we have at least one thing in common already. Really interesting here that Mihawk, because this is all in Mihawk's perspective here. He's sitting here as Croc's holding up Buggy and Buggy's taking the credit for everything. Mihawk's thinking about the whole trust and loyalty aspect here. As he's thinking, obviously he has a memory here where he thinks back to at some point in his past where he's been betrayed, and then he snaps at Buggy.
Yeah.
The implications of that? Like, are we about to get like...
Could be why he's alone all the time.
Which this chapter as well, they specifically say, like, if he wanted to be a Yonko, he would have been. He chose not to. He doesn't want that in his life. He was just like, I just want to pick up my sword and do my sword stuff, right? So, to me, that snapping there is like, who's fucked him over in the past? Because I feel like the easiest answer would be to just lean on Shanks. But there is a bigger plot line underlying there, which is like...
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think it is Shanks. Because, like, why would they have that relationship that they still have?
True.
Where they're, like, fighting each other and rivals and things like that. I feel like Shanks just knows what happened to him, I guess. And is, like, the only one that actually, like, knows and cares, sort of thing.
Maybe it was the previous World's Strongest Swordsman. Maybe it's Imu. I know a lot of people want to link Imu and Mihawk because of their eyes. And we still don't have a backstory for Mihawk.
Yeah, and that's why Shanks is the only one who knows about it, because he knows about Imu.
Especially with, spoiler alert, but anyone that hasn't seen Film Red, there's been like heaps of news and that floating around. I've tried to avoid it mostly because I just want to sit down and watch the movie when it comes out, but it doesn't come out in the theaters here for freaking forever. So I'm going to give you like a 5-second countdown when my fingers goes closed fist and that. Just mute me for a minute so you don't get spoiled. But essentially, Mihawk and Shanks' relationship, if Mihawk is the child of Im, Shanks' whole relationship being a celestial dragon, maybe they can both relate to inheritance and that will from Marijoa. You know what I mean? Anyway, moving on to the next part, we've got the whole little backstory here of Buggy, and I don't agree with this. I think this is just Croc obviously using his sand, but a few people have tried to say that this is them showing Haki on the sand. To me, it's not. Like, I don't think this is actually... I don't think that black sand's Haki.
Yeah,
I think that's just the regular shade for it.
The one that's kind of in the background that's going up that guy's like holding on to.
Yeah.
It's like he's like holding a lance at the end of the sand.
Yep.
It's like he's basically grabbed a lance with his sand and he's just like shooting it around as like a big needle at people.
It's sort of what Doflamingo did with his awakening, where he made all the string tendrils slash around.
Yeah.
Which,
to me, like the edge of that is like actual metal. Like it's not sand. if you look at that one that I'm looking at.
I don't know. I think it's still sand because you can see the other tendrils have similar sorts of stuff. Like above that, there's two tendrils, one coming from the same angle and one coming from the opposite angle, and they're both sort of got that sharp edge.
What? To me, it looks like they just like puff out into sand. Those two.
Yeah, right. Well,
Okay, yeah. Anyway.
well, I mean, there's also the one close up that's going over the marine. That's like a sharp, like over his shoulder, directly under the hook. Because to me, this is Crocodile showing a much better showcasing of his fruit now, where he just lands somewhere, turns sand everywhere, and starts using tendrils to attack instead of him getting his body up close and personal. And there was always that whole thing of Crocodile talking about how his fruit, he trained his fruit to perfection.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which, when we get to his bounty reveal, leads me to ask, do you think this is going to be the first awakened Logia we ever see? And if so, is that partially why his bounty is so high? And I think one of the big points and takeaways from it would be the Crocodile has the best non-lethal fruit, if that makes sense, out of the Logia class. Like, Manet's fruit and Caribou's fruits are like inherently non-lethal. You know what I mean? Whereas Akainu and Aokiji's fruit, like making any form of contact with them will, like, it can immediately sort of kill you. You know what I'm saying? So to me, this is like, will be the first showcasing of a potential awakening for a Logia that's not the lethal. So it's not the top tier Logias, so we can still expect something worse to come. But that might be like how we get our introduction into those abilities from like a lesser Logia.
Yeah.
Crocodile said himself, you and I don't trust each other, Mihawk, but Mr. 3 is also a clown. He don't... Oh, sorry, that was an old comment. Sorry, my bad there. But, okay, let's just freaking jump into this, because this is wild, right? We get Navy HQ, and we get the bounties for both Crocodile and Mihawk. Which bounty is more impressive to you here?
I mean...
Like, what shook you the most?
Like...
Because I was screaming. I was jumping up and down. Like, I read Crocodiles, and I was, like, covering the screen so I didn't look at Mihawks, because I was like, I can see in my peripheral that there's a bounty for him there, and I was like, I gotta collect myself together here, because, like, Crocodiles alone was hype as shit.
Yeah, I absolutely did not expect Crocodiles. Mihawk is like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and Mihawks is for him just being a lone agent, too. That is the most impressive individual bounty in the series. Because everyone else has an organization and a crew backing them. So this is...
Well, technically, now Mihawk does.
True, but this bounty as well is, I would say, separate to that. I would say that's his updated bounty after being a warlord, but separate to Cross Guild because it's higher than Buggy's.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if this was, like, updated because of Cross Guild, Buggy's would probably be higher because of the bullshit of the stuff going around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, Crocodile... Do you know what this... With this chapter, do you know what this officially does? The second we get one more character's bounty over 1 billion, Jack isn't in the top 20 bounties.
Good. Doesn't deserve it.
Dude, think about that though. Like, I remember when Jack's bounty was introduced and it was the number 1 bounty in the series.
Yeah.
The moment we get...
We're in endgame now, man.
When we get Dragon's bounty, he doesn't even break... 1 billion doesn't break top 20.
Yeah, just gonna say though, like, if some, like, top... Like, if NL comes down and he's, like, perfectly mastered all Hakis, and he just goes on a rampage and just takes out everyone,
Oh,
like, all of these pirates,
collecting
he will
bounties.
just bankrupt the world government.
Yeah, dude, he's
Sorry, man, we can't pay this off.
I'm telling you, man. I need to see one top tier bounty hunter before the end of the series come out of the woodworks and be like, yeah.
Needs
But
to be, because that was the whole point of the bounty system, is
um,
that bounty hunters will go after you.
I'd like to point out though what this chapter really does, in conjunction with other information. Mihawk got to the world's strongest swordsman status by challenging Marines, and it's funny because the Marines are almost all of them are trained in swordsmanship. But they have outliers that don't use swords, but almost all of them are trained in swordsmanship. So realistically, they are the one group in the world that just consistently would put out top tier swordsmen to an extent, because they're the only organization in the world other than the Whitebeard pirates that actually even were bothered to be like train in the sword.
Yeah.
Which, think about that. Mihawk Mihawk goes from a scrub to just hunting down Marine after Marine after Marine, to the point where he gets regarded as a Marine hunter and the world's best swordsman. For Shanks to come challenge him, not beat him, but not necessarily lose to him. We don't know that situation. We just know he never beat him. Otherwise, Mihawk wouldn't have that title, right?
Mm-hmm.
While Shanks was already at a Billionberry bounty, because we know his bounty was that at around that time.
Yeah.
That is wild. Like, we talk about you know how people talk about like the duels between Mihawk and Shanks, dude. That is like a commander challenging a Yonko to a one-on-one fight. That news is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
No wonder that shit shook the world, man. Because at that point in time, these guys were fucking goated. Absolutely goated. And the worst thing is, the way this chapter continues on from here, I could see next chapter we finally get the revolutionary bounties. Like, the first sets of chapters for the last saga is, these are all the players in the field, these are what they're worth, let's move on with the story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because we then cut to the Kamabaka Queendom, where all the revolutionary commanders but Sabo have made it back fine. Kuma's back and has been changed into his normal clothes. So I hate to think of the off-screen process of them having to strip this man down naked for them to redress him, for him to sit around cross-legged, and they're just like, my God, my poor friend's turned, he's essentially brain dead, the poor bastard.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that would hurt on so many levels there. You know what I mean? For Sabo to call on an open channel, Sabo calls on an open damn channel, and they trace it to the Kamabaka Queendom. Meaning,
here's the question: is it Sabo?
Yes, I reckon it is Sabo, which makes this even worse, because if Sabo's calling in for an emergency meeting here, he's just given up where the revolutionaries are, and the way the last chapter ended, or maybe the chapter before it, Akainu is ready to take them. You know what I mean? Akainu is ready. The second he gets an inkling on some shit, he's gonna be like, all hands on deck. We're killing them.
Yeah, true.
Sabo may, because this wasn't coded, may have just given up the rest of the squad.
Do you think he would be that dumb? Is the question.
I think it depends.
Surely they have tons of different regulations around this.
Yeah, they do, and we've seen it in the past that they use specific transponder snails with white transponder snails to block signal tapping and that. But remember, they moved from Baltigo, where they had all that equipment set up, to the Kamabaka Queendom, and we see the Marines here actively say, we've caught it. We've caught the transmission.
Oh.
So it could be that they left the...
Here's the thing. It seems like they already know. Because they're saying, oh, listen in. It could be the Flame Emperor.
Yeah.
They're already monitoring Kamabaka Queendom. I'm assuming that guy who's saying it, his job is to monitor that place, and then the other one are monitoring other places.
Yeah.
And they're basically trying to find
where they are.
Where they are, yeah.
So
yeah, I don't know. It seems like it's already a potential spot.
So they may have just given away the Kamabaka Queendom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is like, shit. Obviously, I think it's an emergency.
There's always the Oda play of it's not actually him and it's like Mr. Two or something like that.
I don't know, because Mr. Two's friends with Eva-chan. I don't think Mr. Two would do something like this to Eva, right?
Yeah, but I mean it could be anyone.
True.
Anyone who can
Mimic voice.
have the same voice, yeah.
I mean, it could be Katarina Devon and the Blackbeard Pirates.
Yeah.
It's me, Sabo. I'm coming into port, let me in. They infiltrate because they can turn people invisible, so their whole crew could rock up, potentially.
Yeah.
I want to say the simple answer is it's Sabo.
We're gonna have to wait because, like, if that's the case, I'd imagine they have, some kind of like hidden secret, code to be like, that something is in the something.
Yeah. Well, unless this is a specific emergency, which this may backfire here because, like I said, if VV's alive or Cobra's alive, they could be in a lot. Like the world government could be in a lot of shit here. You know what I mean? But the double-edged sword is like obviously Dragon's wanting to find out what Kuma saw in Marijoa, meaning they're gonna have a dossier of the ins and outs and the intricacies of the security and locations of everything in Marijoa, which is wild.
Yeah.
But at the same point in time, the Navy now knows where they are, and if the Navy doesn't attack, CP0 definitely could.
Yeah.
So we've essentially got two major factions that have specific dirt on each other, with the potential to just start all-out war at the drop of a pin. And that's the first chapter of the last saga.
Yeah.
That is freaking bonkers to me. I think as well. So obviously we got Croc, Buggy, and Mihawks bounties here. It's interesting that we end this off with the Revs, because I could see us getting like the Revs bounties, sort of like we did the Straw Hats bounties this chapter, right?
Yeah.
With it ending off maybe with a Weevil and Boa bounty update as well, potentially. Next chapter.
Yeah.
Because we still don't know what situation they're in. And I think realistically, out of all the warlords and situations, I feel like the Amazon Lily could still just be under siege. You know what I mean? Like, there's no one's made any progress.
Yeah, that could be possible. Like that's the thing is because, I mean, like, she's not going to go anywhere, right?
Yeah.
And considering that, like, Mihawk was just sitting on that island constantly just defeating wave after wave of people, or could just be doing the same thing.
Yeah, and, like, the whole thing is the Kudra is so, like, they're good. They're really good, you know what I mean? They've all got Haki.
Yeah.
So it's like, they ain't going down without a top tier doing significant damage to them.
Right now, there's too much going on in the world to spare a top tier. So all the high ups are probably just saying, "Oh, just send in more people."
So I could definitely
try again.
So I could definitely see them just in a stalemate with each other, where they're trying to invade, they can't actually make landfall, or they've just barely made landfall, and meanwhile the Kudra are just like raining arrows down on them, doing significant damage, but they can't get rid of them because more just keep showing up. Which would be interesting. Weevil is a mad outlier here, though, for me. Because, like, we still need him to come back in the story in a very significant way. And it's like... Because everyone else is now set up in a major faction except for Boa and Weevil, right?
So, what the hell is SSG? Because it seemed like... Obviously, SSG is not going to take down Mihawk, right? But still, it seemed like Mihawk was just like, "Oh, this damn Navy keep coming after me."
What if that's how we get the showcasing? We see that... Because this has been like 2 weeks now, hasn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
Because the Straw Hats had like a week break or something. So it's been a week.
They had a week after, yeah.
So it's been a week to 2 weeks. What if it's been a week to 2 weeks and the Kuja still haven't lost to a constant invasion? Right?
I could see that for sure.
And then after 2 weeks, when we finally cut to it, maybe they send out the SSG for the first time. And we get
I
to...
guess so.
And they could hype it up as well with an updated bounty for Boa being close to MIHAWKS. Close to crocodiles.
I just feel like they would have sent SSG out immediately because that was the whole point. Was we have SSG now, we don't need the warlords.
Yeah.
Let's just use SSG to take out the warlords. So far, no one's gone down.
Well, I'd like to point out, like, scrolling back, you know the ships that Croc took out?
Yeah, they were coming out buggy, right?
Did Stainless get killed here? Did Stainless make it out alive? Did Croc just murk a Vice Admiral?
He definitely could.
I mean, there's potential for it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Also, I've really got to ask this. So Croc's bounty, 1 bill, 965 mil because of his intelligence, organization, and his devil fruit. What do you think Doflamingo's bounty would have been unfrozen?
I don't think it'd be that high.
You don't?
No, I think he's got that big bounty because he's a cross guild and all that stuff. I don't think Dofi as like a single individual would have had that high of a bounty. He's not 2 bill worthy. 2 bill is super high.
Well, again,
It's above all the first divisions. Like, you know what I mean? Like, is he cracking Katakuri?
I mean, if say he's got basic armament and observation, right? Just generic armament and observation, and say he's got say he's awakened, I could see that for sure.
Who?
Croc.
Dofi. Not Croc.
Right? Whereas Dofi,
His bounty.
because Croc's bounty is 1.965 bill.
Yeah.
Right? So if he just got regular armament, regular observation, and then say he was awakened with his fruit, I could see him having that bounty with his organization and his planning and that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and considering he's in the cross guild and all that stuff.
Well,
he's definitely a threat.
The problem with that is, though, we know that the warlords got their bounties increased prior, and it seems like what happened is Croc and Mihawk, this may not be new bounties for them. This may have just been their post-time skip bounties that were done when the warlords were disbanded, but before Cross Guild forms. And now that they've formed Cross Guild, they're like, these are the people that are involved in it.
Nah, I don't know what the Viz says, but this translation I'm reading is like directly linking the Cross Guild being a threat to their bounties.
Because if
like there's a speech bubble that says, "What bounties are we issuing for these three?"
Where's that?
They're issuing them. Again, I'm not on the Viz. I'm on the other one, like on the panel just to the right of where you see Croc's bounty poster.
Yeah, okay. On that one for us, we get in the world's current state of insurrection, the Cross Guild will be major threats to us. What were their bounties again? Former warlord of the sea, Sir Crocodile, based on his Logia powers, intelligence, and leadership, 1,965 mil. Hawkeye Mihawk, former warlord of the sea, with greater sword skill than even Red Hair the Emperor. As the strongest swordsman in the world, he is worth 3,590 million berries.
Yeah, I mean, I think these have been given because, like, I mean, obviously Mihawks has been given because it wasn't. He just became a warlord.
But the warlords being disbanded and that happened before the Cross Guild situation, is what I'm saying. So this could be just because of Cross Guild, or it could have been they got their bounties because if you go back the page before that, 2 pages before that, you have the whole thing with Croc, like, with our name valued combined, the Navy will have to sit up and notice. Implying, because like the Cross Guild's essentially Crocodile saying, hey Mihawk, with my reputation, come join me. Both of us together, we're essentially like a Yonko crew. They'll have to take us serious.
And why is Then why is Buggy at 3 bill?
Because Buggy put himself as the leader of the organization after. Oh, okay, no, that's a good point. That's a good point, actually. That is a good point. Okay, so these must be updated because of Cross Guild.
Doing,
Yeah.
it seems like what they're doing here is like they're evaluating. Okay, Cross Guild is a really big threat. What bad news are we going to give these 3 people?
Although,
He gets this, he gets this, and he gets this.
mind you, it could have been that the other 2 bounties were what they were, and Buggy got the updated bounty because they've joined under him. Because that's what the newspaper said the other day, that Buggy's now an emperor. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So Buggy's could arguably be the only one that's actually been updated here. Whereas this is just Mihawk and Croc's post-time skip bounties.
I don't think Croc would get a 1.965 like just cause. Considering that he was literally at 70 or something like that.
80.
90 or something.
81.
Like yeah, there we go.
Back no, yeah, it was 81. 81 back in the day.
Yeah.
1 mil over Boas.
I get that was a while ago, but I mean he was still he still had the fruit.
But right? Because it's evaluating everything, I'm thinking like if they hadn't if they unfroze Dofi's bounty, right? All 3 types of Haki, Devil Fruit, Awakened Devil Fruit, plus all of his underworld connections, he would probably have a bounty similar to Croc's. Because I feel like a lot of this as well is based on their ability to have had like really big connections with people. You know what I mean?
I know. I guess it's possible, but like
because I think that's the same with the Beast Pirates.
He deserves it though.
Like I think a lot of the Beast Pirates and that, even some of the Big Mum Pirates don't deserve their bounty. They've just got an inflated bounty because of their connections with big people.
Yeah, but I mean, I think Cat deserves his bounty.
Yeah, but that's it, right? A lot of the Big Mum Pirates are underrated, whereas a lot of the Beast Pirates are overrated. But at the same time, although the Big Mum Commanders are underrated, some of their lower subordinates who do a lot more have sort of gotten an ego boost of inflation. You know what I mean? Like, do you really think Perisparrow would be worth 700 mil? Snack.
I don't know, man. Perisparrow was standing up against the freaking Cat dude.
Yeah, but like even then,
Perisparrow was a little dark horse.
Like Perisparrow's got armament, observation, and candy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And we saw how easy it is for other people to deal with that candy. I wouldn't necessarily give him 700 mil for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, I mean, it depends on whose standards we're going for, right? Because if we're going for the Beast Pirate standards, I mean, I reckon Perisparrow versus Jack.
Yeah. But that's it, though. That's what I mean. Like, both of the organizations, like, Big Mum's very complacent, so her commanders didn't get as much, but some of her little subordinates that do more, like Bobbins. Like, do you think...
I think a big thing to consider as well is that if NL came back to the sea, his bounty would be 500 mil.
At least.
Yeah, he doesn't have any...
At least 500 mil. And I feel like the best way to describe that is if you look at everyone else in the 500 mil range, they have an island to continental level feat, right? You got NL with the Rygo, right? Dropping an island-sized bloody nuke on places. Yeah?
I mean, NL has like 100 different freaking island level feats.
Yeah, no, but like, you know the Rygo, the big ball of lightning that he just like delete, right?
Yeah.
He's got the Rygo. You got Ace, who can make an island-sized giant ball of fire. You got Blackbeard, who can make an island-sized giant ball of darkness, right? You've got Don Chinjiao, who can split a continent. Like, that 500 mil range to me is just like, yeah, you can destroy an island or a continent. That's the benchmark. You know what I mean? With people being exceptions for it, like to me, Who's Who, right? No continental level feat from Who's Who. Maybe you could argue his Haki, but I would just say that his biggest thing is just like he's probably more likely to be like a 300-400 mil character that got a big buff being related with Kaido. You know what I mean? Like when you look at the people that were individuals, right? So NL 500, Don Chinjiao 500, right? Ace's bounties from before Like it's from like when he just joined the Whitebeard Pirates, so his bounty's pretty much what his standalone bounty would be. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it's just very consistently to be like they can destroy an island. Whereas you take people with the same bounties that are in crews
what
of
I'm saying is
organizations that are a little bit weaker, but they've got that inflation because of the reputation of their bosses.
Yeah, but that's what I mean is that I think Crocodile is like a lot of it is like reputation from his ability to go like an underground bounty and things like that. Like I don't think his fighting capabilities would necessarily be like double of First Division Commander, like above Marco.
I mean, yeah, you're right. But, mind you, we've not seen Marco use any Haki yet. Throughout the entire story. Right?
Yeah, but we have seen him like kick King through a wall.
I'm not saying that he's not like ridiculous, right? But like look at Crocodile here. You know how he's got those tendrils that he's whipping about?
Mm-hmm.
What if they can do the moisture drain as well?
I mean, the only thing that we've ever seen with the moisture drain has been his hand.
We've also seen his sand do it when his sand whips through people.
Have we?
Yeah.
Thought there was a specific scene where he like took off his glove so that he could grab Luffy so that he could moisture drain. It was like
his right hand has the ability to do it, but he's also got like the Saber's ability that when his sand like cuts through you, it drains all the moisture out of you. Right? So arguably he could be out here like Green Bull, just draining people.
Yeah, but I mean, no, you just.
Oh, dude. Again though, the whole NL 500 mil thing. Oda said his bounty would be at least 500 mil, and that question was asked back when Skypiea was coming out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's not going to be like, oh, you'd have a couple bill, because back then like a bill, dude. 5 years ago, a bill was what people thought Whitebeard would have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair.
So it's like, I take it with a grain of salt. That being said, right, I'm not trying to vindicate, because I do think Crocodile's bounty is a little overinflated for what he's like. I got to see him do something. You know what I mean? People being like, oh, he's showcasing Haki here. I'm like, that ain't Haki to me. That's just how his sand's always been drawn until we're told otherwise, right? I'm just like, I want to see more from Croc.
The thing is with me is that like at this point, like, does Haki even matter when like, you know, someone who's at 2 billion, basic armament Haki is not going to get you anywhere anyway. Who cares, to be honest? Like the thing is that like basic armament Haki, you could just say he doesn't have it, but he hits really, 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 really hard. You know what I mean?
Or he doesn't have it because he's trained his fruit now to drain moisture on any contact, and so it doesn't matter what your Haki is because he can still drain you.
Yeah, and I mean, we literally see, just above that panel where you see him, 2 ships just blown up.
Yeah.
Like, he's not doing this slowly. He's not doing one ship at a time. He's just running through the whole fleet and just annihilating all the ships.
Yeah.
This isn't even hard.
Dude, this is so exciting for me. Because, like, dude, I love Croc. This may hurt a lot of people to hear, right? Call it nostalgia. I think, like, I still struggle narratively. Like, okay. What are your 3 favorite arcs in the series?
Oh, 3, that's a lot.
Because for me,
Arlong Park is number 1. I don't know.
Because
I really liked Kuro, but I don't really like it anymore.
For me, it's Alabasta, Skypiea, and Marineford. Right?
Okay.
Like, my overall favorite arc is Sabity, because I just love Sabity. Like, it's just got so many great moments for me. But, like, the reasons why I like that isn't, like, dude, Alabasta is such a well-told story. You know what I mean? Great build-up, great emotions, great payoff, great villains, great comedy, great turnaround, great great complex plans and things like that. Like there was so many things to look out for in that arc. Like, dude, Bon Clay, just like, dude, imagine like, because we both would have bulked dress Alabaster, right?
Yeah.
Like I watched it week for week as a kid when I couldn't remember it, and then when we got back into anime, dude, could you imagine waiting week for week like a chapter like this, and you're like that character did something that's a little off? Is that Bon Clay? You know what I mean?
That's true.
Like dude, I would have been so on edge, right? And really, Crocodile was such a well put together villain because yeah, he was strong, but the worst thing was he was just like. Do you remember that scene where he throws the key for VV? Like he throws the key for the Straw Hat's cell in the alligator pen, and VV goes in after it.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to him walking away, and like Robin's like, "What if she frees him?" And he's like, "That wasn't the real key." That shit is to me like it's Oda at his peak. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to say that other arcs haven't been great or amazing. Like I said, it's like to me, Alabasta, Sky Island, and Marineford are like Oda's just like best narrative showcasings to me. And that's not to say that other arcs aren't good, but it was like they were also simple enough. Like they were complicated enough, but simple enough that he didn't juggle too many things when he very well could have failed.
Like, with the longer arcs, I feel like it's harder to appreciate them because like when you read them week to week, like Dressrosa and even like Wano, when you read them week to week, it's harder to really. You kind of forget.
Yeah.
What happened at the start and stuff like that. Like I barely remember the start of Wano anymore. I don't even really remember like what like that much about the actual Wano country. I just remember a lot about Onigashima because it was so long ago that like we're actually in Wano.
Which actually annoys me, right? Because I want to get into this, and part of this stream as well, we're going to talk about our thoughts on Wano, right? Dude, I understand that Oda's trying to jump to stuff like this, and chapters like this are amazing, but I also feel like there were moments in Wano that we didn't need, and there were moments in Wano that were set up that we never got. Like we never got Zoro going to Ryuma's grave. Do you know how upsetting that is?
Yeah, true.
Like how many times was that set up as a plot point? Shoved in our face. Hey, Zoro's gonna go visit Ryuma's grave, and we leave Wano without seeing it?
Yeah.
To me, that's a miss. You know what I mean? Another big miss? Marco did not see Luffy once in Onigashima or Wano. They do not have a single interaction together.
Yeah, right.
So why the fuck did Marco show up? Like, I understand he showed up to help, but do you remember what Ace's last words were?
No, I've forgotten.
I need you to tell the crew, thank you for loving me.
Oh, yeah, that. Yeah.
And Luffy knocked out after that and never saw another member of the Whitebeard Pirates. Why did we not get a scene at the end of Wano, when everything was all said and done, of Luffy giving that message to Marco? Like, just think about that. Because, like, I understand that was so long ago that most people probably would not even remember it, so it wouldn't be a plot point that they're like, that needs to happen. But to me, that was a huge... Like, dude, think about how big Wano was set up as an arc, and, like, imagine that as a bit of a payoff at the end as well. And you get that scene of, like, Marco crying, and you know how you had Tama, who was like, oh my god, Luffy's just like Ace? You get that like tear coming down Marco's eye where he's looking at Ace, thinking back about all the times Ace talked about his little brother and how his little brother is amazing and awesome. And then you get a flashback of Whitebeard's last orders saying, protect Straw Hat Luffy with your lives.
Yeah.
How hard would that have fucking hit?
Yeah. I definitely think that like there are like pretty significant pitfalls of making such a long series. In that, like, things like that, like, you know what I mean? Like, you just can't hit everything.
And like I understand that, and I've got a lot of forgiveness for things. Like I understand fully that when fans start throwing out what they want to happen, people get salty when they don't happen, like the raid failing.
Yeah.
And like Act 4, you know what I mean? But it's like I take those things and I go, it's fun to speculate about them, but if they don't happen, don't drag it through the mud because it was our own expectations. But then there are other things like that where I feel like it was so clearly like he's
That's the thing, though.
shown a
If
light
you
on
were
it.
bulk reading it, if you were bulk reading the series, you would finish a chapter and you go, "Oh wow, I wonder what's going to happen next,"
And then just
you
go
would
straight
read
into
the
it.
next chapter.
Yeah.
And it would be like this cool, like, I wonder what's going to happen next. Let's see, and then you just have a look. Whereas when you week to week, it's like, I wonder what's going to happen next. What do you think is going to happen next? Well, I think it's this and this and this and this and this. And then when it doesn't happen, it's like, oh damn it.
I mean, dude, and I don't want to turn this stream into like a negative thing, but like, okay, what were your biggest negatives of Wano? We'll go through our reflection of Wano. We'll talk about the negatives because then we can talk about the positives because there was a lot of positives in this arc.
To be honest with you, every time I think about Wano and I think about whether I liked it or not, this is like a weird thing. It's very like a personal thing, but like when I think about it, I think about the gifters and the headliners and that, and just how like dumb they looked. And just kind of go like.
Do you know why that's also a bit of a miss?
Yeah.
I really respect Oda having the guts to make them comedical, right?
Yeah.
But when we first got them showcased in Punk Hazard, we were shown that he had an army of competent zone users. That was the imagery used. They were all people that were essentially in a hybrid form with their arms crossed, and it was like
even on
shit.
Zoe, like
on Zoe,
dude with the horn on his arm or the wolf.
On Zoe, we saw that the gifters are able to transform in and out of their devil fruit abilities. And then we get to Wano.
Just their arm and stuff.
Yeah, and then we get to Wano, and it's, they're stuck like this permanently.
Mm-hmm.
That, the way I have to justify that to myself is that was Jack's best gifters that were lucky enough to be able to have enough control to transform, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, to me, that hurt the story. And it's like, dude, I appreciate the ability to go out and be like, oh my god, look at this, right? But it's like, we've seen two different versions of these characters in the past, and that's not what we were delivered. That's what we were sold, it's not what we were delivered on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So to me, like, that was a bit of a miss. Like I said already, the whole Luffy Marco not having a single interaction, bit of a miss, right? The third thing I feel like is a bit of a miss is that there was no acknowledgement on whether or not Kaido and Big Mom were defeated or dead. You know? Like...
Well, so personally, I feel like... I know a lot of people like to look into it, like, oh, they're going to come back.
I think they're dead.
I feel like that panel... when like you literally see their bodies like evaporating in the lava, I'm like, they're absolutely dead.
Yeah.
And then people were still saying, oh, they could come back, and I was like, they're just dead.
Yeah.
And like to me, that's as clear cut as you can make.
But
like, they're literally like their bodies are disappearing in the lava.
To me, do you know what one difference you could have done to change it, to make it definitive? You could have had
little tag.
You could have had anyone. Well, I mean, you could have had a little tag saying that they passed away, or you could have a single member of the Scabbards drop to their knees crying, and they're like, Kaido's voice is gone.
Yeah, that's true.
How would that have hit?
That's definitely true, because they were talking about Luffy's voice the whole time.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, they could have had this really cool speech where they were saying, like, throughout the entire fight, I never saw Kaido's voice get any
weaker.
Softer.
Yeah.
His voice was always screaming in my ears the entire time, and now it's gone.
Yeah. Like how?
Cool.
Like
that's like a Whitebeard-esque death, where like he's dying standing, basically. You know what I mean? Like his will never wavers until he's dead.
And I understand, like, not trying to make Kaido look any more hype than he is, because the point of him is like he's got a bit of a tragically it's over death. If he is dead, I should say, because again, we don't have 100% confirmation, but I feel like he's dead. You know what I mean?
I feel like he's dead for sure.
But to me, it's like that one clarification makes it feel so much more worth it. You know what I mean? Like, just imagine if it was Kinemon, right? Kinemon drops to his knees, tears rolling down his face, right? You see Momo in dragon form, and you know how like Momo like comes out of his dragon form into his human form and then announces that it's all over? Imagine if you had Momo in his dragon form shrink down to human form, but we only get the silhouette from Momo's back, but we see Kinemon there, and both of them are on the knees, and you can tell that they're crying, and Kinemon's like, you can't hear it either, can you? His voice is gone.
Yeah.
How satisfying would that have been?
Or even like one of the samurai that stayed in Wano the whole time, saying like, I've heard his voice every day for the last 20 years. Every day I've checked to make sure it's still there, and it's always been there, and da da da, you know, and now it's finally gone.
Or the flip of it, you know how we were constantly getting like we haven't heard Kaido's battle roar for winning?
Yeah.
What if Luffy gave off a battle roar? You know what I mean? There was just nothing cathartic about it.
Just like a really loud, joyful laughter.
Yeah.
Just like silenced everything.
Yeah.
Little epic moments that could have happened.
Because, dude, I know we got the whole volcano thing, and the whole volcano thing was like, oh, but the whole volcano thing again was enough. Like, it was left open ended enough to be like, are they alive? Are they dead? Because, like, to me, I'm like, dude, nothing can say that someone is dead in One Piece more than a devil fruit user being submerged in a liquid, suffocating, unconscious. Which is what happened to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same point in time, it's just like, you give Whitebeard this epic rundown of how he was a legend and died like a legend, right? You couldn't have given like the middle finger to Kaido by giving him and Big Mom the same thing, but instead of it talking about their legend, talking about it on the flip and being like, and this is what made Straw Hat Luffy, Eustace Captain Kidd, and Trafalgar D. Water Law the legends they are.
Yeah, or it could have even been like, instead of going through the rap sheet of all the wounds that Whitebeard took, they go through the rap sheet of all the evil that Kaido did.
Yeah.
All the people that died at Wano and how many years they had to suffer.
How many hundreds or thousands were in like how many people actually died? Right? How many people were suffering? Right? Give us a rundown of everything, you know what I mean? Even
and the thing as well is like they had like voiceover kind of stuff, you know, like every time somebody got defeated, they were like, winner of this battle, this person, like every single time that happened. So they absolutely could have done just like a kind of rundown like that with, yeah, it would have fit pretty well.
Do you know what, like another thing, like it would have been 2 panels and it would have just been so impactful as well? A handful of the Beast Pirates, after Kaido goes down, dropping their swords and being like, I fought for him out of fear all this time. Because like his introductions, when we finally get to see his face, he treats his crew like shit, man. He was literally getting them to hold up wanted posters to beat them. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like there were there's a good handful of things that don't change the story, but should have gotten a touch of attention that could have made the back half of this make it feel like a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I said, just there's just enough of those things. Like, even the post-Wano celebration, I feel like, was a little lackluster. Like, I love the whole firework chapter with Kid and that running in with Luffy. That was so fun. But then, like, we haven't gotten Robin actively reading the other poneglyphs. So we didn't get that cathartic information that a lot of us were waiting for. You know what I mean? And maybe that'll come in the next couple of chapters, but it didn't feel like the reward for Wano, if that makes sense.
And it's really weird that at the end of this arc, I mean, I was even saying to you earlier, like before, that like there's no way that it's just going to be the chapter ends and then it's like, okay, cool, let's look at the log post. What's the next island?
Yep.
Surely we're going to have an actual target and somewhere to go.
Yep. Because
it would feel really weird to enter the last saga as just like a, I guess we'll just say whatever's next. That's what happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like,
Um,
there's no way that happens. It has to be, at the end of this arc, we have to get for some reason, oh yeah, Elbaf's over there, and we have a reason to go. No.
and it's bad, right? Because of these moments, like, dude, the Big Mom amnesia. Do you remember that?
Hmm.
How how much did you hate that when that was happening week to week,
Yeah.
right? There were just so many moments like that that it's just like it contrasts.
We didn't get a payoff for Big Mom. Hey, like she didn't get cured. Like,
But okay,
to be honest, I was always of the thought that the stuff that she's done is pretty irredeemable, and I didn't actually want to see her be like redeemed and become a good person. But like, still,
do you know how you could have redeemed her?
Hmm?
Everything goes down as it does, and she's in the lava and she's gone. And then after Kaido, to we cut to the Big Mum pirates having regathered on the outside of Wano, right? And say
Yeah.
say this happens on the same page as that Kinemon scene we're talking about where they sense Kaido gone. Say Smoothie, Oven, and Daifuku sense that Big Mum's gone, and they just start scream crying mother.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing about Big Mum is we've just talked up about how much of like a menace she is and how she doesn't listen to anyone and that, but her kids still love her.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? So that would have made it be like shit, man. Big Mom was so tragic because there were breadcrumbs that she could have been redeemed, and she just never got that chance. How sad is that,
Hmm.
right? Only like because imagine that they go home now, go back to Totland and that, and they tell that news to Katakuri. And Katakuri knows in his head, it's like, I know Luffy said he was going to take out Big Mom. I know he's not a killer because like I know what he's like as a person. So there's more to this story than Big Mom just being killed by him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And then it leads to that thing that was talked up so much of who's actually going to lead the Big Mum pirates going forward, Katakuri or Perospero, because that might have caused an emotional divide in their kingdom. People that were loyal to Big Mum because it was Big Mum, and people that were loyal because of the stability.
Yeah.
That to me, and there's still potential for that sort of stuff to happen, but to me, it's like there was no setup for that now, but there was such great grounds for there to be. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Because Big Mum goes out, and it's like her last words are, "I'll be back." You know
Yep.
what I mean? Like it feels so open ended.
Then the other thing is just like setting up the whole, like with Katakuri saying, "Are you gonna come back and beat her?" And he's like, "Yeah, I will."
Yeah,
If it does, and he doesn't even beat her either.
yeah,
And the thing was is that like Katakuri's fight for like the fan base was so big.
yeah.
Like everyone loved like the Luffy versus Katakuri fight so much, and that like meaningful bit at the end, everyone talking about like, oh, it was an emotional victory and all this stuff, and that thing at the end, that
It
quote at
cheapens
the
it.
end where he's like
Will you come
oh
back?
yeah, you're gonna come back and beat her, and then he just lays back because Luffy says yes. It's like, and then it just doesn't happen.
And Kid and
Luffy's so
Law do
calm.
that instead.
Yeah.
Like I understand, like Kid and Law, if they beat her, they beat her. That's fine. Like that, I can understand that. But to me, it's like if that's how you're gonna keep it, give those Big Mum pirates that are now left in a void some character development.
Mhm.
Show it. Show us how they feel about this news. Are they all waiting, thinking that Big Mum's just knocked out somewhere and coming back?
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
See, they could have even played it that like they could have just made it seem like Big Mom was stronger than because she's older,
Yeah.
Or like Big Mom says to Kaido, "I'm stronger than you, and I've always been stronger than you," etc., etc. And then in the final battle, Luffy takes down Big Mom, and then Kid and Law take out Kaido. Because the thing is that Kid had already fought Kaido, wanted to take down Kaido, and was imprisoned by Kaido for ages. Law specifically approached Luffy saying, help me take down
Yeah.
Kaido." They both definitely they
Dude,
didn't really care about Big Mom, right? They wanted Kaido. Whereas on the other side, Luffy goes as soon as he gets into the new world, he goes to Fishman Island and he makes an enemy out of Big
okay.
Mom. That's the immediate thing that he does. So it would have actually made a lot more sense if they played Big Mom up as being stronger than Kaido, and then Luffy beat Big Mom while them two beat Kaido,
Okay.
and then that would have been, and then that
Do
way
you,
Luffy fulfills his promise to Katakuri, and it kind of all comes full circle.
do you know how that could have been played off even better?
Hmm?
That moment where Big Mum takes a bit of her soul and powers up. If she becomes way too strong for Kid and Law because she's stronger than Kaido, but she's got to constantly chew through her soul, so she's on a time limit. She's in her gear 4.
Yeah.
Right? So they fight. She ends up forcing them back up onto the roof, only for Luffy and Kid and Law to swap enemies. And Kid and Law start taking on Kaido after Luffy's worn him down with the Advanced Conqueror's barraging.
Uh-huh.
And then they're able to lock Kaido down and beat Kaido, while Luffy fights a slightly even stronger Yonko in Big Mom. But the big thing is, like, when Luffy finally beats her, finally gets that, that Bajrang gun in, right?
Mm-hmm.
As she gets knocked out and she's falling, we see her age. We see her get that, like, white hair finally, because she's used up too many years. As she goes down into the lava. Bam.
Yeah.
Bam. Man of his word. The first villain of the New World officially defeated.
Actually would have been a lot better. Because, like, Luffy never had any reason to fight Kaido until Law came up and said, "Hey, help me take out Kaido."
Yeah.
It's always been Law's beef, and then Kid had the beef with Shanks, but then once Kaido fell in front of him, Kid had the beef with Kaido, and he wanted to take out Kaido. Luffy's just like "Oh yeah, sure, I'll help you beat Kaido. Why, may as well."
Dude, okay. What about this? That Bajrang gun, Luffy hits Big Mom as she's powered up and flying in the air at him. Sends Big Mom flying into Kaido. Big Mom's knocked out. Kaido's still conscious, but the force of Big Mom's starting to push him down. And then you get that exact same scene where Kid comes in with the follow-up of the big laser gun, shooting them down.
Yeah.
And it just ends in a 3-way combo attack. Pretty much what happened to Big Mom, but this time it's like, you get the definitive of Luffy knocked out the Yonko because you see Big Mom unconscious. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Luffy finally gets to tick off Big Mom. The Alliance, which the whole point of fighting Kaido was a bunch of alliances. Like, first Luffy Law, then the Samurai Mink Alliance, then the Pirate Alliance coming in. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It would have made more sense for the Alliance to defeat Kaido in that regard. Especially when, no offense to him, but Kinemon kept downplaying Law's role. And the Samurai kept downplaying Law's crew, saying that they were, like, the snitches and that. Imagine if, because of that, Law gets, like, the last little touch on Kaido. And then you get that, like, you get that acceptance of, it's like, shit. Like, you literally got the last tap on the guy that had that we treated you like shit in a lot of instances, not trusting you enough. There was no good payoff for that.
The other thing as well is, like, even if they did that thing, like Luffy versus Big Mom and then those two versus Kaido, if they did that from the start, like, even from the start of the rooftop sort of thing where they first divided, like, because the reason they divided was because Law trapped the homies and then they pushed Big Mom off the edge. It could have been, like we were saying before the Kaido fight even started, that Kid has a bit of control over the club because it's metal. And then the Kid and then Law can get through the scales because he can do the big sword that stabs through people. In all honesty, they would have even been a better matchup against Kaido. Whereas Big Mom, it's like they don't really have any tools to get around the homies necessarily, except for that weird little box that
and Law just teleporting them away.
Yeah. So,
whereas
like,
Luffy's immune.
Made more sense.
Whereas we saw Luffy's immune to fire now with the Rio, and he's already naturally immune to the lightning. And the big thing for him to watch out for is Big Mom's got a sword, and he doesn't do well with sharps.
Yeah, which would have been the whole thing. it actually genuinely would have been so much better, and they could have made Big Mom out because like I know Glitter has said quite a few times that like Big Mom has a lot more depth of character than Kaido does, and Kaido's kind of just big strong man.
They could have
And
taken her out of the
to
gag.
be honest, like big strong man is fine for a really strong Yonko that Kid and Law take out.
Yeah.
What I mean? Whereas Luffy takes out the woman who actually has a lot more background. He's been to her island, he's seen her kids and all this stuff. And then that way, Luffy's actually fighting someone with a lot more story meaning. Whereas what actually happened in the story was Big Mom basically just got memed on the entire time and taken out for
Okay.
no reason. And all of her backstory and all of her character build up just kind of went to nothing.
Without her showcasing using any haki against Kid and Law.
Yeah.
She used haki once to punch Law, and it was regular haki when we see she can use advanced armament and Rio.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, she can use advanced Rio and Conquerors infused. She one-shot page 1 with it. We never got that from her. She has the exact same arsenal as Kaido. She could have been doing that against Luffy. And the thing is, it's like, it could have been tiptoeing, where it's like, Kaido and Hybrid is stronger than Big Mom. Big Mom uses some of her lifespan, gets stronger than Kaido. Kaido goes into that drunk rage state, and it's like, who's actually stronger back and forth?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't know. I love what we got, but I feel like, and there, Captain Hindsight, you know what I mean? But I feel like there could have just been a bit more emotions inside. Like, dude, Killer, Kid beat Big Mom and gets a reputation boost. Yay. Kid didn't really have like a big moment against Kaido. He didn't really have a moment against Kaido, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he blames Kaido and Orochi, which Orochi died off screen from their perspective, and we never cross him. Where was the vengeance for Killer being permanently turned into a freaking smile user?
Yeah, true.
There was no payoff for that emotional thing, and that was his whole reason for wanting to get back and fight Kaido. Like, dude,
No, he just
why wasn't there a scene of Kid when he's fighting Kaido? Like, on the rooftop, right? Kid and Killer flash back to when Kaido fell down before them, and maybe he killed some of their other crewmates.
Yeah.
There was no moments like that at all.
Mm-hmm.
They're like it didn't have the cathartic payoff of Luffy punching Crocodile up through bedrock, and that first drop of rain coming down from the heavens, and 500,000 people at each other's throats seeing a drop of rain dropping to their knees and crying.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't have that cathartic feeling, right? Where God is gone, and you finally hear the ringing of the bell echoing throughout the world, and you see the shadow of a little kid celebrating up in the sky, letting someone know that their years of trauma and their family burden is done. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It didn't even have the, like, there was no resolution in the sense as well, where it's like, look at Marineford. You had the death of Ace and Whitebeard, and how well written they were, how emotional they were, how impactful they were, but how much they mirrored, because it was a death for them, but it was a new life as Blackbeard took that step and became the new powerhouse of the world. Akainu could have, essentially Akainu stood up there and differentiated himself from the other admirals as well, and became the new leader of the Marines there as well. That was a death of two major characters, right? And that was Luffy, Blackbeard, and Akainu's birth as the new figureheads. Marineford, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All of those storylines to me, way more cathartic, way more, like, if you knew when it was done, I should say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it felt like there was no room left. Like, because we talked about how, like, this fight was the longest fight, and, like, I loved every part of the fight, and it was so cool seeing new powers, and we love fights, but at the same time, it's like, it's just fight after fight after fight. It was lacking the emotion in the end. Like
It really was, yeah.
the chapter of getting that rundown of all the stuff that Momo went through and seeing the citizens, like, you know, like, I hope I'm alive next year, and that got to me a little. But at the same time, it was kind of like, where has this been? Where has the suffering been? That's why it was like, I was always like, surely this battle's got to take place in front of the civilians in the end run. Surely they've got to see, because seeing is believing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And cool, Oda didn't take that route. That's fine. But compared to every other arc of this tier, there wasn't that resolute. Like, dude, even Doflamingo going down, the birdcage fading, and everyone literally seeing the representation of their imprisonment fading into nothing for the first time, like really seeing the skies. Think like just like, and I'm not doing it to shit on Wano because I freaking like. Because when we flip this and I start talking about the positives of Wano, some of the best parts of the entire series of One Piece are in Wano, without a doubt. But it didn't hit that button like some of these other arcs did. You know what I mean?
I'm not gonna lie, yeah, you've turned me into a anti-Wano.
Like, dude, I love Wano, and I'm speaking from the heart here. But it's like, dude, think, and it's not just nostalgia, but like, think back to those moments and how that felt when you first saw those moments. The joy, like that euphoria rushing through you when you were just like, holy shit, yes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Kaido is essentially Douglas Bullock copied and pasted. Like, I remember when
I actually seriously think that Luffy not fighting Big Mom as the villain is actually a pretty big swing and a miss.
Yeah, dude. And that's not to say that, because, dude, look at Kaido. Kaido was a beast as a combatant. But that's just really all we needed for Law and Kid, wasn't it? A fight.
Yeah.
To feel like they had done something. Whereas,
yeah.
like, dude, the anime did this so much better on the anime adaptation of Chapter 1000, where they had, like, that scene where it was fluttering through the scabbards when they were happy, and then it just hard cut to them all bloodied up.
Mm-hmm.
It gives this feeling that's missing from this part of the manga, for sure. But it's still, like, part of me was like, if we're not getting this euphoria for having taken down these people like this, that's why I was holding out, like, are they either going to come back? Someone else is going to come in and cause more issue, which it did end up happening, but it didn't happen for as much as I thought. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or a backstory of Kaido where it flips the script last second and we actually sort of get a sympathy for him and go, shit, his life was just as tragic too. You know what I mean? Because realistically, he's an Oni on his own. We know nothing about his wife. We know nothing about Yamato being born, right? All we know is he was a part of the Rocks Pirates. He got captured. We see him escaping Punk Hazard after being tortured for years, but he's laughing as he's leaving. Right?
Yeah.
Him grabbing King, going out, and then just causing maim and panic and pain on people everywhere around the world. That, like, there's nothing there. I can infer a shit ton of stuff. I could write you an essay of what Kaido is, why Kaido's like this. But at the same point in time, it's me talking out my ass because it's like there was nothing there. You know what I mean?
You weren't actually really given anything. Yeah.
Like
You're just kind of going, oh no, he's all about strength, and you just make stuff up.
I can come up with a really compelling reason based on what we got why he's like that. But at the same point in time, show don't tell. But if you're gonna tell, compel. Yeah. You know, because
that's the thing is like, that's the thing. Like, we shouldn't as viewers necessarily be expected to extrapolate that much from a character,
especially for the main villain.
Yeah, like we shouldn't be shown like, oh, he got sold into slavery and then he like escaped and then fought and then he would get captured by the Marines for food, and it's like, Or if you think about it hard enough, you can imagine the struggles that he went through and how he realized that strength is the only way to really get through life and blah blah blah. But like, you haven't been shown that. Just making it up in a sense.
Where did his suicidal drunk behavior go?
Yeah.
Like, dude, imagine if that was like the last move he did in the fight. He goes from
We never,
murderous
we
drunk
never
to
found out,
suicide.
by the way, why he wants to kill himself.
Yeah,
Because all we found out was that his goal is just to create, like, to start
and
a war that's like bigger than everything.
I could have
That he believes in
excused
strength
that.
a lot.
I could have excused that as much as a lot of people don't like it. I could have excused that if Yamato joined the crew and went with them, because I would have just said all that information will come as her backstory. You know what I mean? But she didn't come. So to me now, the Wano's over, the act's closed. It's supposed to be a self-contained story. And there's a lot of misses. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, I'm struggling here because it's like, dude, when I say he's a Douglas Bullock copy and paste, I remember when Stampede came out, I was like, oh, they're giving us a villain like this here now because Kaido's going to have a lot more character to him, even though a lot of people think Kaido's just going to be all about strength. So I thought when that movie came out, Oda gave us that to be like, look, I'm going to give it to you because I know you're expecting something like it, but I'm going to give you something better later. You know what I mean? Never happened. It's actually almost insulting in a way, and it hurts me because I love this series, man. But it's like I've seen how good you can be, and part of me blames his editors at the moment not having the guts to tell him when something needs more.
That's the thing is like, if you asked, like, if somebody was writing a series, you ask them, oh, so like, what's going to happen in this series? And like, if Oda said to you all those things, like, like, oh yeah, Big Mom's going to show up, and then they're all going to fight on the rooftop, and then they're going to take Big Mom down, and Luffy's going to fight Kaido, and then he's going to lose, and then win. Like, I just kind of be like, why though?
Yeah.
Why? Like, yeah, I don't know.
Even then, why did Zunisha show up? Why did the world government ship show up? They did a U-turn in 3 chapters. Like, week to week, that's like, oh my god, yes! Bulk reading, or even now, it's kind of like, that was a waste of a chapter that you could have given that, like, you could have given that to someone else.
Why are they showing Rizo's fight against the elope dude? Why did that matter?
Do you know what the worst thing about that is?
Screen it and just say that he beat the dude.
Do you know what the worst thing about that is?
Yeah.
That was actually a really cool fight with the backstory we get for them, but it wasn't included in the story. You know what I mean? Like that whole sister storyline. That was like, oh, that's actually sad and touching. That could have been added in the Odin flashback.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
To be honest, though, like it just wasn't like if you wanted to have that, like Oda thought of that idea of them like freezing each other and then catching on fire. He could have showed that in one chapter where they off-screen all of it, and then what happens is like, what was it? Jinbei runs past and sees him. Could have just had Jinbei like it's all been off-screened. Jinbei runs past and sees him. They're both frozen. The fire's there. They have a couple of panels of them explaining what's going on. Jinbei grabs him and runs off.
Yeah.
And they have the gag still in the story, have the fight happening. They just didn't have to waste because it was like every week, right, or like every second chapter for like multiple chapters in a row. There was quite a few panels that were just them their little battle.
That fight ends the same chapter as Big Mom going down.
Yeah, because I remember us being like, oh yeah, how many fights do we still have going? Oh, we have this one. Oh, and Rizo.
Yeah.
It was just yeah. It just didn't matter. Valuable panels that could have been, like we were saying, giving all these cathartic flashbacks and all these moments.
I mean, even coming out of it, where was this? Like, I know this is a celebration, but there was also, unironically, it was missing a huge sense of loss.
Mm-hmm.
Like, There should have been that moment where they're like, "Where's Izo?" You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Because last time they saw, all of them saw him alive.
True.
So there was like, yeah, we won. We finally beat the big bad. None of us expected to make it, but there was no moment of like, oh my god, we made it out of that. And you look around to see your friends, and they didn't all make it.
Yeah. True.
And like, the reason why I criticize this and why I think it should be included is because potentially this is the longest war we're ever gonna have in the series.
Yeah.
So these emotional payoffs should have been at least partially done here.
That's the thing, is that like a lot of this stuff should have been pre-thought about.
Yeah.
It should have been just done, like, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. So that way we can actually move into the final arc with a reasonable sense of resolution.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because this arc had great moments. Let me flip this. Let me flip the script, because we've just talked for a while about the negatives, right? Positives. This arc opened up for the first time in a long time with a proper sense of just wonder. Going up the waterfall on that. You know what I mean? And I hate to draw the line here and there, but it's like, dude, we got crazy cool openings. We got Hawkins off the bat. Hawkins was a terrific early arc villain. So many good moments with him early on. I'm so happy that Oda felt he could use a more named character there. You know what I mean? I will say, having Drake destroy Tama's village and it never come up again in the rest of the story, bit of another misfire. Like, especially when Drake swaps sides, there should have been a moment where he swaps sides and maybe he goes to help Tama, and Tama is like screaming at Nami and Usopp, "He's the guy that killed everyone in my village."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And you could have had a moment where he was like, "I'm sorry, I had to do it. I was undercover."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And they're just like, that's no excuse. And then there's like a moment to reflect on how Navy are a little bit like messed up because they don't actually care about people.
For the greater good.
Yeah, for the quote-unquote greater good, but they don't actually care about people. Yeah. And then it's like, whose agenda are you actually furthering? You're furthering what, the Celestial Dragon's agenda. That's not doing the world any good either. Or if
he's part of Sword, do the opposite and go, he never actually killed anyone there. He just destroyed the houses and had to make them migrate because he had to keep the appearance up that he was terrorizing them.
Oh, right, yeah.
It could have gone either way. Where was the payoff for that?
Went no way.
Like, and I appreciate we at least got something with it, but like, you get what I mean, where I'm just like, you toss a coin up in the air and you're not going to say if it's heads or tails. It's pretty crazy to me. But talking about the positives, right? Hawkins, phenomenal. Hawkins versus Law. Hawkins versus Luffy and Zoro, fantastic. Negative to go along with it, the Nidai Kitetsu never makes an appearance outside of the first act.
True. None of that sword stuff got paid off. That dude with all the swords,
yeah,
didn't show up again.
Yeah,
none of that happened.
Nothing came up outside of Enma. No sort of rank was mentioned from any other character.
We got no backstory about Zoro's family that we thought was going to happen.
We got it in SBS.
We got references that we
got it in
he's
SBS.
Like a relative of Ryuma. SBS doesn't count.
I'm struggling here because I'm trying to stay on the positives, but like going from the beginning and coming through, like you see what I mean, where it's just like I left it until the arc was finished before I said anything bad about it. Yeah. But there was enough bad things.
Hey, this entire arc, we've been hyping it up
the
whole time. We've been like, wow, Wano was so good. This entire arc, okay? Now that it's over, we're allowed to rip into it a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, dude, if we don't rip into it a bit, and stuff like this isn't allowed to be said, and, you know, guys, share this shit. If Oda can hear this shit, good. Because if this stuff happens again in the final arc, it's
gonna be a Naruto kind of show.
Yeah.
You know, tuning exams, and then it goes downhill from there. It's gonna be like, yeah, we loved Annie's Lobby, and Marineford was pretty good too, but after that,
It was all downhill. Because people already were saying nothing post time skip is better than pre time skip.
Yeah.
And it's like, to me, it was like this arc is supposed to be like the climax of what we've had so far post time skip. And there was there was so many great moments. Like, dude, okay. We got Hawkins versus Luffy Zoro. We got Hawkins versus Law, which was really compelling. We got the Luffy versus Kaido fight round 1, right? A lesser note, so I won't count it, but dude, Shutenmaru versus Jack was like, oh my god, the samurai are actually impressive.
Yeah.
Right? We got Blackbeard's bounty revealed with the revolutionaries fighting the admirals. That felt crazy that week. Remember?
Yeah. To be fair, like everything that's happened outside of Wano has been like super hype.
Yeah.
Which, like really well.
And that's the thing, right? Because I don't think a lot of people realize, like, the Reverie arc, from Oda's perspective and his editor's perspective, it's actually part of Wano. It's the beginning of Wano.
Yeah.
Reverie's not really an arc itself. They're kind of like, it's the interlude to Wano. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, the moment Whole Cake Island ends, like, if you pick up a volume, it's all Wano. You know what I mean? So all this is attributed to Wano. So we've had like this, the Gorosei, Imu, all that stuff in Wano. You know what I mean? I mean, dude, you had Zoro versus Killer. Chef kiss. Right? You had Killer eat a smile, and we saw Kid and how similar Kid is to Luffy. And dude, I remember loving that week to week. Right? We got the Odin flashback. Arguably the best run of 10 to 12 chapters in the series. Arguably so.
Yeah.
We got all the Yonko bounties and Roger and Whitebeards. Like, that was so great. We got the ultimate chapter with the Rocks pirates and Garp the hero and Roger's backstory. You know what I mean? Even in the raid of Onigashima, the raid started off and it was so, like, this place was massive. There was so much going on. It was so hype. And although it was a bit slow in places because we were teeing up to fights and that, dude, when Kaido cut off Orochi's head, how crazy was that?
That was really lit.
Right?
And then when Momo was captured
and said his
like,
name,
getting beaten, yeah.
And then Sanji steps to King. Because everyone then was like, Zoro's going to go after Kaido with Luffy and Sanji's going to fight King.
Yeah.
So it was like everyone's stepping up. We got Jinbei joining the Straw Hats officially, and the first full Straw Hat spread post time skip. That was wild. It was fun. It was phenomenal. Chapter 1000, the rooftop battle. Phenomenal. Like, from chapter 1000 to 1012 or 15, that whole stint up there, oh, it was heavenly, wasn't it? We got the Straw Hats actually go up against a Yonko crew, essentially one-on-ones. Mind you, we had people they got no love at all, right? Like the Heart Pirates outside of Law, the Kid Pirates outside of Kid and Killer, right? The Numbers. Like, I would have...
Numbers were absolutely pointless. What the hell?
Yeah. And it hurts, because it's like, dude, why couldn't we have even given the Numbers...
So intimidating.
Dude, why couldn't we have given the Numbers a rough bounty, because we know they've been active in the world, and thrown them to the Heart Pirates or the Kid Pirates?
Like, do you remember when We were like, oh my god, the All Stars, all their bounties are like 1 billion plus, and we were still hype on Jack at least a little bit.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, these are sick. And then we heard about the numbers,
And
and
there's
we're like,
like there's
oh my
gonna be
god,
10
all of
individuals.
these, yeah, and we're like, all of these people outrank all of, like all the headliners, like outrank
Yeah.
Drake. And we're like all the Flying Six members get outranked by the when the numbers were only like shadows.
Back when we
They were only
thought
silhouettes.
back when we thought maybe they were the same race as Kaido, because they
Yeah,
looked like
and
ancient giants.
so like there was a point in this arc where in my head it went Kaido, the three All Stars, 10 numbers, and then the Flying
Topiropo in
Six,
that. Yeah.
which Drake and Hawkins and all that was one of them. So like Supernova level, like excluding the talented Supernova like Luffy and Kid, right? But like general Supernova level, as in like really promising pirate who's just entered captain, um, was like below what's that 14 people,
Yeah.
10 numbers plus three All Stars plus Kaido
Dude,
himself.
they
In my mind for a moment, I was like, wow, he could actually just destroy the world.
remember in your mind when the Big Mom pirates were potentially going to show up?
Yeah. And then when Big Mom showed up, I was like, oh my god, what the hell? How are they going to ever do this? And
Remember
then,
when people were like, "There's no way we can do this without the Grand Fleet.
yeah.
There's no way we can do this without like half of the forces turning sides or the Big Mum." Like, dude, okay, another plot line that never went
All
anywhere.
of these thoughts could have happened, right? Like, the Grand Fleet could have showed up. The numbers could have been strong. It could have been awesome.
Not to mention, alliances end in betrayal almost always. There was no betrayal between Kaido and Big Mom. There was no betrayal like Law and Luffy. We knew like they're not going to betray each other.
Yeah.
But all these other alliances being made, the only one that got betrayed was freaking Orochi.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, dude, imagine literally looking up at Everest and then Everest splits in two. You know what I mean? That's what we could have had. We could have had like the second that Kaido's forces started, like the weaker forces started to get beaten, Big Mom could have been like, I've got a shot here at taking over his territory. You know? Like, imagine if Big Mom and Kaido actually turned on each other a bit, paying off that plot line, right? And we get a bit of a Rocks back flashback being like, you always were a greedy hag. You always didn't know, when to just submit, right? And then that causes Luffy and Kid and Law to split up, to split up the conflict a bit, to be like, we've got to get the two powerhouses away from each other, and we've got to take them down, because they may kill each other or they may team up with each other. We don't, they're flip-flopping.
Yeah.
That dynamic would have been amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It's bad, right? And it doesn't help that, Tama, right?
Yep.
I'm pretty sure it's, essentially confirmed she's a Kurozumi. She's got the purple hair like Orochi. Her family's tombstone say Kurozu before it gets cut off, right? She was looked after by a Kozuki, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And how does the arc end? The last page? Kurozumis were born to burn.
Yeah.
So, Wano goes through all of this only to not learn its lessons about prosecuting an entire family because it breeds a cycle of hate.
Yeah.
Maybe there's still more to come from this, but because Act 3's ended and we feel like we're fully over Wano, does this not just for the first time ever it felt like there were too many misfires?
It really does, not gonna lie.
Also, remember earlier when I forgot something I was gonna say? I finally remembered it.
Okay, yeah.
Big reference to an hour 50 ago in the stream, guys. Do you know what sucks as well? That we've never actually had in One Piece? We've never had two ships go side by side and people swing onto the other ship for fighting.
Bro.
When, Give us a boarding party.
Yeah, seriously, give us like a classic pirate rating.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like even if you got like even if it's like someone's like Law and Kid are fighting each other, like, and I'm just using them for an example, right? But it's like Kid shoots cannonballs at Law, Law just rooms the cannonballs away. Law shoots cannonballs at Kid, Kid just magnetizes them away. So they can't shoot each other, they've got to board each other.
Yeah.
Like, there's ways to do it. We've never had the classic boarding party of, like, swinging
Also,
in.
by the way, difference between a standard Navy ship and a Navy warship is just how annoying it is at how many cannonballs they shoot at you. It's not a threat.
And size.
No one ever gets taken out
Dude,
by cannonballs.
I think you can see it there. You see the page with Crocodile and Buggy? Like, where Crocodile's using his fruit?
Yeah.
The panel above that, you see that? You've got a normal warship there just to the right of the warship.
Yeah.
Look how tiny it is.
Yeah.
And that ship as well is, like, bigger than the Sunny. That little ship.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like, the warships look beastly. They look freaking awesome.
Yeah.
But realistically, in the story, the only difference between getting chased by a warship and a normal ship is that the warship's a bit more annoying because you got to block more cannonballs.
Even here, as if we didn't see Stainless get back and be like, we got to update their bounties. We got ambushed. It wasn't our fault. Or if he is been defeated, right? If he has been defeated, as if we didn't see a single panel of like Stainless trying to cut Crocodile, only for like Crocodile and Daz Bones to like showcase how powerful they are against him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm hyped because this chapter was great and Wano was great. There were a lot of great moments. Like I said, some of the best moments in the entire story.
What would happen if Stainless grabbed Mr. One?
Wait, why? What do you mean?
Isn't Stainless the dude that rusts things?
No. That's Shu. That's Captain Shu. Thank you.
Alright, I always thought that was Stainless.
No.
What the fuck does Stainless do?
He's a swordsman with a big twirly mustache.
Oh, just the normal swordsman guy, okay.
Yeah, Vice Admiral swordsman. Just one of those dudes. He's got a 6 suit. Doflamingo made another Vice Admiral Muzumba almost choke him out in the first Reverie meeting. First Marijoa meeting we ever saw.
Yeah.
I don't know. My heart wants to give Wano a 10, but I lean more towards like an 8 out of 10 because there was just so many misfires. The misfires shouldn't weigh down the positives for it because the peaks of Wano were peaky as shit. Like Joy Boy Gear 5, you know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
But
I think it really depends on how critical you're being because I think as a fan, like we were saying, there was a lot of peaks. I think if you were like a hardcore critic, you would say like things like that you mentioned, like the fact that like we got the first side by side panel of all the Straw Hats. Like realistically, like as a critic, you're just like so he bothered to draw them all in the same panel.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like as a fan, it's like that is awesome to see, and if you do it too much, then it's not as awesome. So it does feel really cool when moments like that happen. And same thing with the bounties. It's like as a fan reading it, it's really cool to see a hype bounty for like Roger or like Whitebeard or things like that.
which is why it's good to
really
keep them
awesome.
mysteries for so long because when you actually give
Yeah.
them, it's like you get that sense of accomplishment of like we finally here.
Yeah, but like as a critic, it's like, does that make this arc good? Like, was that like good storytelling, or was that you just made a bounty poster and assigned it a number?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's hard because like in terms of how much I enjoyed it, I think I really enjoyed Wano. Like week to week was really interesting. But in terms of like
I had
really critically evaluate, I don't know how well it would do.
I had a lot of fun and I thought it was fantastic, but I feel like there's a lot of holes that aren't present in things like Alabasta, Sky Island, Marineford. I mean, and a lot of people say Annie's Lobby is the best arc. Like Annie's Lobby Water 7 is the best arc in the series. That's not my opinion. I don't love it like that. But for a lot of people that do, like I can understand. Like, dude, it starts off with a crewmate potentially leaving, right? Wraps back around to saving a crewmate, only to have essentially another crewmate die.
Yeah.
You all cried over a ship. Did you cry?
Everybody listening to this right now, you cried over a ship.
You cried over a drawing on paper, right? Based on a wooden boat. But did you cry?
Oda's a bad writer.
Did you cry in Wano though?
No, not really. I had like a proud moment.
I had a lot of
Seeing
proud
Luffy,
moments. I felt
it was, like,
accomplishment.
a little bit teary, but not like a proper sad.
I felt a lot of accomplishment in Wano. But it didn't hit a sad note that much to me, really.
Yeah.
It got me a little bit at the end, but it didn't hit a super sad note to me, right? But
It would have been really cool just to see something like Chopper actually fucking cure something for once. How many diseases?
oh, okay,
He cured
dude.
that one poison.
There's another thing.
Like,
Chopper's gonna cure
Smile
every
disease.
disease in the world, and we leave Wano with smiles still plaguing the entire country.
You know, it would have been amazing to see. What's her name? The little girl.
Dude,
I always forget her name. Otama?
Otoko.
Toko. Okay. Yeah, it would have been so good to see Otoko like just see Chopper cures her, and she's like laughing because she can't do anything else. And then as the cure kind of hits her, she starts crying.
Yeah.
And stops laughing. And then it's like, oh my
And,
god,
dude,
she's actually fixed.
Maybe that would still be a thing, but dude, even a scene of like when they're celebrating, Chopper's there with a little like he's eating his cotton candy because he loves it, but he's also got like a little lab setup, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm taking samples of the people affected by Smile. I don't know how to fix it at the moment, but one day I may be able to.
Just a reference to there's hope in the future, yeah.
Because, like, Vegapunk successfully recreated a mythical zone. You can't tell me is that Chopper saying he can cure every disease at the end of this. If this is just gene manipulation, he should be able to change it back.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
See, it feels to me like Chopper at the end of this series is just gonna like basically like accidentally find cure-all or something.
Yeah.
Because like it doesn't seem like we're never getting any scenes where he's like working on cures or he's curing progressively
Harder.
more difficult to cure things.
Or there are things that he can't cure, but he's taking note of it.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, we're not seeing any of that. So it'd feel really weird if at the end of the series he's like, oh, by the way, you know every disease we've ever come across that I haven't even really mentioned? I've figured out how to cure all of that, and now I can cure everything. It's like, what?
Even...
When? It would feel very weird. So it almost feels like they're going to go to Laugh-Tail, and they're going to just wander up and it's like, oh, look, this little vial, it cures everything. Chopper, can you create more of this? And he's like, yeah, I can do that. And like,
do you
that's
know,
what's going to happen, apparently.
Do you know what else would be really great to get? The whole... In Sky Island, there was a huge amount of information being dropped in the Nolan flashback that botany is one of the most important roles out there in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and there was a huge thing about like botanists being really important, and crews should have botanists and stuff like that. And we had Usopp spend 2 years on that island, and now he's got all the pop greens. As if we don't have scenes where Chopper's like, shit, I need this ingredients for a cure. Crap. And Usopp's like, what properties does it need?
Yeah.
And shoots down some pop greens so that Chopper can mix them together.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's not a lot, but it's like a handful of scenes like that. Like, especially since we don't get the slice of life stuff anymore. A few scenes like that would go a long way in adding what feels like has been missing from One Piece for a little while.
Yeah.
You know? It's hard though, because it's hard to tell what's still being left for something major or what's just abandoned on the cutting room floor.
Yeah. And also, like, I think I like this chapter having Jimbei.
Yep.
not realize that like you shouldn't mess with Nami, and like saying like, "Oh, you
He's still
okay,
learning.
Nami?" And then yeah, and then Nami like goes off at him, and he's like, "Oh, okay." And then he turns to Sanji, and Sanji's like super angry that he's gotten a bad bounty, and he's like, "Oh, you okay, Sanji?" And then Zoro's like, "Ah, don't worry about him. He's just number 4." And like he's like learning. Like, oh, okay, right. That's how the dynamic works here.
Yep.
Like, fuck with Nami. Sanji's a twat. Everyone hates him.
Yeah.
Like,
Dude, it would have even been funny. You know that last scene where Zoro and Sanji are fighting?
Mhm.
If Jinbei tries to break it up and both of them kick him and are like, "Don't get involved."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's trying to be the father figure of the group because you forget Jinbei's a former captain.
Yeah.
He's used to being in the, like his whole gag should be he tries to step in as the leader.
And they just smack him out.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, know your place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's like, I'm the helmsman, and they're like, just steer the ship, buddy.
But yo, this is wild. We officially have 20 bounties that are over a bill. How does that feel?
Pretty end game.
Dude, it feels I can see the goalposts like in the far field at the moment. It's like there's a lot of story I felt like was left to be told. I don't know. I I feel like when we get Dragon's Bounty, and it may be next chapter or it may be a while away, that's the last major reveal, bounty-wise, in the story.
Yeah, it would be.
So they've...
Sabos. Don't have Sabos.
I mean, no offense to...
I guess they have a new one anyway now.
No offense to Sabo, but it's like... Dragon's on that level of the Yonko and the Mihawk. You know what I mean? In terms of...
Dragon's the highest, so he's above that.
Yeah, so it's like he's the last top tier that'll get this revealed. Which makes sense because he was always like doted to be the top of the top tiers in terms of bounty, being the world's most wanted man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's kind of like we're running out of new shit.
They did specifically say though that like Sabo has now reached
Potential
equal
new
levels
heights of
like,
dragon.
Yeah, of dragon. Like, well, not to say that he'll have the same bounty, but like he's gonna have a high bounty. Not even necessarily representative of his strength.
I reckon the second we get Sabo or Dragon's Bounty, Jack's out of the top 20.
For sure. For sure. Sabo will not be less than a bill.
I mean, at this point in time, Sabo's going to be over 3 bill.
Yeah, for sure.
The question is it over Buggy and Mihawks, really? And then, oh my god, we've still... I feel like we've spent so much time now on the post-Wano and traveling to a new place that I feel like we've only got next chapter, maybe the chapter after that, before we get to the next island, right?
Okay.
Which I feel like we need to get this resolution, like a bit of resolution here with Sabo. We need to get a bit of movement of what's going on in the world. We need to find out what's happening to Weevil, Boa, Blackbeard, and I feel like there's too many things for us to get done in the next 2 chapters. So
yeah,
I think there's going to be stuff that's not getting paid off again for a little bit, which is hard because it's like this is the final saga, right? But having looked at like all the other post arc stuff and that, we get heaps of great moments like this, but we've already gotten heaps of that because the post arc was essentially since Green Bull showed up.
Well, look, if we're gonna bump into Weevil, maybe that we don't get a payoff yet. We bump into him eventually. Maybe like Boa or Weevil are together or some crazy crap.
Maybe, but you get what I mean. Where it's like shit. Like we kind of need to get the ball rolling on some of these characters.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see where we go. We still haven't gotten a bounty for Ivankov. So, getting Dragon, Sabo, and Ivankov's bounty next chapter. And maybe Sabo has Bonnie with him. and Bonnie can revert Kuma back to his former glory.
Right. True.
So that's what I'm leaning on next chapter being or focusing on. You know what I mean? Which would be good because it's like officially like this is what the full strength revolutionary army is and this is what they're wanted for. Right? Because what say Dragon's 6 bill, Sabo's 3 and a bit bill, Ivankov Ivankov's hard to say because part of me wants to say Sanji surpassed Ivankov, but part of me is like, no offense to Ivankov, I don't really see Ivankov. I don't know how to gauge Ivankov as a fighter. Like,
It's really hard.
Ivankov,
I mean, the Deathwing was tearing up, but
it's tearing up, but it's just impact, and it's like it's impact that we've seen like Jesus Burgess do, but it's kind of like I could see him like having a good fight with say Jack. I don't really see him beating say Doflamingo. I don't really see him beating any of the first commanders. I don't really see him like if we're putting him up against Queen Ace. I'll ignore Lucky Roof now, but like Queen Ace and oh yeah, just Queen and Ace really for the moment. You know what I mean? Queen Ace Smoothie. Yeah. It's kind of like maybe he's stronger than Smoothie. Maybe he's stronger than Queen. I don't know. Like it's we've got no Haki feeds from him, and he's been one shot by Magellan and Akainu.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, and like he fought Kuma when Kuma didn't have a brain. So like all of Ivankov's feats are really like, yeah, but you didn't do anything. You know what I mean? It's like it's bad.
Yeah.
And the worst thing is, realistically, he's got a devil fruit that could make him the peak physical body outside of devil fruit. And I know that's with his devil fruit, but it's like he could genetically make him the most superior physical being, arguably, with the hormones, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's at the same point in time, it's kind of like we haven't seen him do shit. I don't know. It's hard.
Yeah.
Do you have any predictions for next chapter before we wrap up?
Really, I don't know. I've got no idea, to be honest with you. It could just be absolutely anything.
Like I said, I reckon we get 1 or 2 crazy chapters. Next chapter, surely Sabo and that information, Dragon snapping at him a bit. Yeah. What I want to say is we may get a scene of the world government now knowing where the Revs are and deciding to send a force. Maybe it's SSG. Maybe they Buster call them. Who knows, right? But then I think that the back half of the chapter is a rundown on maybe their bounties, with the end of the chapter ending on one more cliffhanger, potentially being Blackbeard or Boa. And then after that, I think we go back to Straw Hats getting to their next island. Or Straw Hats on the water talking about the poneglyphs. Because maybe mid-transit we get like a scene of Robin being like, this is the information I learned.
Yeah,
or,
I see that.
Or maybe we're hiding all of that until we get the final one to get it all as one big story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would kind of be annoying though.
It'd be very Oda.
Yeah, true. It could happen.
It's definitely going to be very interesting. Anyway, let's wrap up the stream there, shall we?
Yep.
Cheers for coming by, anyone. This chapter, 10 out of 10. Always a 10 out of 10 this chapter. Like I'm not going back on it. This was a phenomenal chapter. That was a little bit as well of a Wano arc review from us. Like I said, at the moment, I'm leaning towards an 8 out of 10. It was a really great arc with really great highs, but it was a bit of Swiss cheese. You know, it was a little bit smelly and it had a few holes in it.
Tastes good, but bit of Swiss cheese.
Bit of Swiss cheese. Other than that, this was the break week for Father's Day, which is tomorrow. But next week we're back with a new chapter, hopefully. So, shit, we don't have to wait long to find out, do we?
Yeah, thankfully.
Yeah. That being said, until the next chapter or until the next video, peace, nothing but love, nothing but respect. Daniel, say goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye. Peace. Have a damn good day.